Welcome to another deep dive. Have you ever stopped to think about what really gets people going at work?
Yeah, I mean, beyond just the paycheck, right?
Exactly. What makes someone, really lean in, push harder, maybe even enjoy the grind?
Uh-huh.
Today, we're trying to unlock some of those secrets. We're diving into the whole world of incentives.
Right. How companies use rewards, and not just money, but other things too, to kind of nudge us to work smarter, work better.
Think of this as your shortcut, maybe a backstage pass to understanding why companies do what they do with bonuses, recognition, all that stuff.
And hopefully we'll uncover some surprising bits along the way. It's about motivation, psychology.
And how it all plays out in the office.
That's the plan. We'll cover the gamut, really, from, big cash payouts and stock options.
All the way down to, what, a thank you note?
Yeah, exactly. Or, like, the classic employee of the month. We want to unpack the thinking behind all these different tools, why one works here, and maybe falls flat somewhere else.
Okay, so let's start right there, at the foundation. Before we get into specific types of incentives, what's actually going on in our heads? What are the psychological triggers?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? You have to understand the wiring first. Take Hertzberg's two-factor theory. It's a classic.
Right, remind us how that works.
So Hertzberg basically said there are two sets of factors. Hygiene factors like pay, decent working conditions, job security. These things don't motivate you per se.
Okay.
But if they're bad, you become dissatisfied. They just prevent unhappiness.
Like having enough gas in the car, it doesn't make the drive exciting, but you can't go anywhere without it.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have the motivators. These are things like feeling recognized, having challenging work, growth opportunities, achievement. These are what actually drives satisfaction and motivation.
So paying people more might stop them complaining, but it won't necessarily make them love their job or work harder.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
For that, you need those higher level things. Recognition, enrichment.
Okay, interesting. But then, doesn't more money always mean more motivation? I feel like that's the common assumption.
Oh, well, that's where it gets really fascinating and a bit tricky. There's Dissy's cognitive evaluation theory,
Okay.
and it suggests something surprising. If you take a task someone already finds interesting and enjoys doing intrinsically.
Uh-huh. Like a hobby or something they're passionate about.
Right. And then you start throwing big external rewards at it, like loads of cash. Sometimes that can actually reduce their internal motivation.
Wait, really? Paying them more makes them less motivated?
It can, yeah. Because they might start thinking, oh, I'm only doing this for the money now, instead of for the love of it. It shifts the focus externally.
Wow. Okay, so you could accidentally kill someone's passion by trying to reward it too heavily with cash.
It's a potential pitfall, definitely.
Yeah.
Something managers really need to be aware of, especially with creative or intrinsically rewarding work.
That's a huge takeaway. All right, what else is shaping this?
Well, there's room's expectancy theory. It's quite practical, actually. It breaks motivation down into three sort of mental checks we do.
Okay, 3 checks. What are they?
First is expectancy. Basically, do I believe that if I put in the effort, I'll actually perform well?
Right. Can I actually do this?
Exactly. Second is instrumentality. If I perform well, will I really get the reward that was promised? Is the link clear?
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Trusting the system.
Uh-huh. And the third one is balance. How much do I actually want this reward? Is it valuable to me personally?
So even if I can do it and I know I'll get the reward, if I don't care about the reward, like a plaque I don't want.
Then the motivation fizzles out. All three links, expectancy, instrumentality, balance, and they all need to be strong for an incentive to work. If anyone is weak, the whole chain breaks.
That's a very clear model. You can see how a poorly designed program would fail one of those tests immediately.
Definitely. And, underlying some of this is also Skinner's behavior modification idea, simply put, using rewards and sometimes punishments to shape behavior, rewarding what you want to see more of.
So pulling it all together, it's clear it's not just about dangling a carrot. It's this really complex interplay with our psychology, our needs, our perceptions.
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance.
Okay, so knowing that psychology, how do companies translate this into actual programs for individual employees? Let's talk specifics like piecework,
Right. Piecework plans. That's a very direct financial incentive. You see it a lot in manufacturing or data entry places like that.
Mm.
You get paid a set amount for each item you produce or process.
Like $4 for every widget you assemble.
Exactly. The good thing, it strongly encourages speed and quantity. People tend to work faster.
But the downside is...
Quality can suffer, right?
Right.
If you're paid purely by volume, you might cut corners to make more units.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, what about things like merit pay? That seems pretty common.
Very common. Merit pay links your salary increase directly to your performance appraisal score. So do well on your review, get a bigger raise.
Sounds straightforward.
It is, but sometimes companies use lump sum bonuses instead. So you get a one-time payment based on performance rather than baking it into your salary forever.
Huh, gives the company more flexibility, I guess.
Right. And sometimes you see dual link systems where your individual merit pay might also be tied, in part, to how well the whole company or your department is doing. Tries to align individual effort with bigger goals.
Okay, so those are some clear financial levers, but you mentioned earlier it's not all about money. What about the other stuff, the non-financial side?
Yes. And this is where it often gets really impactful, sometimes surprisingly so.
Yeah.
We're talking about recognition-based and non-financial incentives.
Like the employee of the month, you meant.
That's one example, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's broader. Think about simple, genuine social recognition. A manager pulling you aside and saying, hey, great job on that presentation. A public thank you in a team meeting, even a handwritten note.
Things that don't cost much, if anything.
Exactly. But they tap into that need for appreciation, for feeling valued. Then there are informal awards, maybe small gift cards, team lunches, things like that.
Little perks?
Little perks, yeah. And don't underestimate the power of job design itself as an incentive. Giving people more autonomy, making the work more varied, providing regular feedback, enriching their role, that can be hugely motivating.
So making the job itself more rewarding.
Precisely. And what's key here is that these non-financial motivators are often super cost-effective and can have a massive impact on morale and motivation, sometimes even more than a small cash bonus would.
That's fascinating. It feels more personal, less transactional.
It often does.
Okay, so we've covered individuals, but incentives look different depending on the role, right? Like what motivates a software engineer might be different from what motivates a top executive or a salesperson.
Absolutely. The context matters hugely. For professional employees, think engineers, consultants, scientists, you often see performance-linked bonuses tied to project milestones or specific achievements.
Makes sense.
And in sectors like high-tech or consulting, stock options are really common. The idea is to give these key employees a real stake in the company's long-term success. If the company does well, their stock options become valuable.
Aligning their interests with a company's growth.
Right. And increasingly, for professionals, those intangible incentives are critical. Things like really challenging projects, opportunities to learn new skills, chances to innovate, that's often a huge draw.
Okay, now what about the folks at the top? Managers and executives. Their packages always seem complex.
They are, usually involving several layers. There's the base salary, which is the stable foundation. Then you have short-term incentives. These are typically annual bonuses, often based on hitting specific targets for their department or the company as a whole. Like Nucor Steel is famous for tying bonuses to operating profit metrics.
So immediate results drive immediate rewards.
Correct. But then there's the really big component for executives, long-term incentives. This is where you get things like stock options, like we mentioned, but also restricted stock units, or RSUs.
What are RSUs, quickly?
Basically, you're granted company shares, but you don't fully own them until certain conditions are met, maybe staying with the company for a few years or hitting certain performance goals.
Got it. Vests over time.
Right. There's also something called phantom stock, which acts like stock. Its value goes up and down with the company's shares, but you don't actually own the shares. It's like a cash bonus tied to stock performance.
Interesting. So all these long-term things are designed to, what?
Yeah.
Keep executives focused on the big picture.
Exactly. To align their personal wealth with the long-term health and share price of the company, it discourages short-term thinking that might harm the company down the road.
And then there are the perks, right? The executive perquisites.
Yeah, things like financial planning help, club memberships, maybe a company car, they're part of the total package. Oh, and an interesting side note, for some regions, like India, there are actual legal caps on total executive pay relative to company profits and strict disclosure rules.
Wow, okay. Regulation stepping in. Now, let's switch gears to salespeople. That feels like a classic incentive-driven role.
It really is. Sales compensation is a field in itself. You've got a few main models.
One is straight salary.
Just a fixed paycheck, no commission.
Right. It provides predictability, which can be good if the sales role is more about relationship building or service, not just closing deals aggressively.
Okay, then the opposite must be.
Straight commission.
Right.
Zero base salary. Your entire income depends on how much you sell. Huge earning potential, but also huge risk.
Definitely encourages hustle.
For sure. But it can also encourage overly aggressive tactics, maybe prioritizing a quick sale over the customer's actual needs.
Yeah, I can see the potential conflict there. So what's most common? By far the most common is a combination plan. This mixes a base salary for stability with commission or bonuses for performance. Gives you a safety net, but also rewards high achievers.
Best of both worlds, maybe.
Often, yes. And many combo plans also include periodic bonuses for hitting specific targets, like quarterly sales goals.
So lots of levers to pull specifically for sales motivation.
Definitely.
Okay, we've spent a lot of time on individuals, but companies often want whole teams or even everyone working together. How do incentives work at that level?
Great question. That's where team and group incentive plans come in. Instead of rewarding just individual effort, you reward the collective outcome.
Like if a production team reduces errors or improves speed together.
Exactly. Team incentives are tied to goals like that, hours per unit, quality metrics, team sales targets. The idea is to foster collaboration and make people help each other out.
Because everyone sinks or swims together.
Right. And related to this is gain sharing. This is a really interesting one. Employees actually get a share of the financial gains that result from cost savings or productivity improvements they helped create.
So if the team figures out a way to save the company money, they get a cut.
Essentially, yes.
Right.
It directly rewards efficiency and smart ideas from the ground up.
That sounds powerful. And then you can go even broader, right, to the whole organization.
You can. With organization-wide incentive plans, a classic example is profit sharing.
Where everyone gets a bonus based on how profitable the company was that year.
Correct. A certain percentage of company profits is distributed among employees. It really helps create a sense of shared purpose and ownership. If the company does well, I do well.
Yeah, that makes sense. What else?
There are ESOPs, employee stock ownership plans. This is where employees actually become shareholders, owning stock in the company.
So even more direct ownership than profit sharing.
Much more direct.
Yeah.
It really encourages long-term thinking because the value of their own shares depends on the company's sustained success.
And you mentioned the Scanlon plan earlier.
Yes, the Scanlon plan. It's a specific type of gain sharing, often involving joint committees of employees and managers who work together to find ways to improve productivity and reduce costs across the board. The resulting savings are then shared according to a preset formula. It emphasizes participation and cooperation.
Okay, so there are ways to incentivize teamwork and company-wide performance, not just individual stars.
Absolutely crucial for building a cohesive culture.
So we've covered the psychology, individual incentives, role-specific ones, team ones. If you're a company trying to actually build one of these systems, or maybe just someone wondering if your own company's system makes sense, what are the key things to get right? It sounds like designing these is tricky.
It really is part art, part science. The absolute first step is linking incentives to strategy. Meaning the goals you incentivize have to directly support the company's overall objectives. What behaviors, what outcomes are truly critical for success. The incentives need to drive those specific things.
Not just rewarding activity, but rewarding the right activity.
Precisely. And you need measurable goals. Using things like balanced scorecards can help ensure you're not just focused on one metric, like sales, at the expense of others, like customer satisfaction. And crucially, employees have to understand that link. They need to see how their incentive connects to the bigger picture.
Like that Hotel Paris example, tying front desk bonuses to friendliness and cleanliness, which directly impacted their brand.
Exactly. A clear strategic link.
Okay, strategic link. What else?
Feedback and measurement are vital. You need clear standards, clear KPIs, key performance indicators. People need to know what the target is and how they're tracking against it.
Makes sense. Can't improve if you don't know the score.
Right. And regular, even real-time feedback is much more effective than just an annual review. Consistent communication about performance metrics keeps people engaged and allows for course correction.
Good points. What about the design itself? Pitfalls to avoid?
Well, fairness and transparency are huge. If the system feels unfair or arbitrary, it can badly damage morale.
Yeah, people need to trust it.
Absolutely. And you have to actively think about unintended consequences. Will this incentive accidentally encourage the wrong behavior,
Like the Express Auto example you mentioned earlier, mechanics rushing, sales staff pushing, all because the incentives focus purely on speed and volume.
Exactly. They focus on easily measurable things, but it hurt the customer experience, which was ultimately more important. They had to redesign the whole thing.
So you need to constantly review and maybe tweak these plans.
Definitely. They're not set and forget. The business changes, priorities change. You learn what works and what doesn't. You need ongoing evaluation. Think about the challenges Carter Cleaning Company faced trying to make one plan fit different roles. Just didn't work. They needed customization.
This must get even more complicated for global companies, right? With different cultures.
Oh, absolutely. Global and cultural considerations are massive. What motivates someone in one culture might not work or could even backfire in another. Well, for example, in cultures with high uncertainty avoidance. Cultures that value security and predictability people might strongly prefer a stable fixed salary over a highly variable performance-based one, even if the potential upside is bigger.
Because the risk feels uncomfortable.
Right. Whereas in more individualistic cultures, performance-based pay might be highly motivating. So big multinational companies have this constant challenge. How do we maintain some global consistency in our approach, but also tailor it enough to be effective locally?
A tough balancing act.
Lay it out.
So stepping back and looking at the big picture,
Sure.
all these different systems, the psychology, the design challenges, what's the ultimate goal here?
At the end of the day, I think all these carefully designed incentive systems are really aiming for one critical thing: genuine employee engagement.
Not just compliance, but commitment, people actually caring.
Exactly. Getting people to invest their discretionary effort, their creativity, their passion into their work and the company's success. It's about winning hearts and minds, not just hands.
And the idea of a total rewards approach ties into this.
Yes. It's the understanding that engagement comes from the combination of everything. The financial rewards, yes, but also the non-financial recognition, the challenging work, the opportunities for growth, the company culture, all of it together.
It's the whole package.
It really is. And you see companies that get this right, like Disney or Toyota mentioned in some studies. They often use these really holistic reward strategies, and they tend to have incredibly high levels of employee engagement.
And presumably that engagement pays off.
Well, studies like the one at United Technologies suggest a clear return on investment. Engaged employees, often fueled by well-structured incentive systems, tend to be more productive, more innovative, and provide better customer service. It hits the bottom line.
Wow. Okay, so we've really journeyed through this whole landscape. From the psychology of why we work, to cash bonuses, stock options, thank you notes, team incentives, all the way to driving overall engagement.
Yeah, it's quite a spectrum.
It really shows that motivating people effectively is, well, it's complicated. It's a mix of understanding people, being strategic, and designing things thoughtfully.
It's definitely not one size fits all. It's a continuous process of learning and adapting.
And understanding these systems, even just as an employee, helps you kind of see the matrix, doesn't it? See how organizations are trying to encourage certain behaviors.
Absolutely. It demystifies things a bit and helps you understand the why behind certain policies or programs.
So a final thought maybe for everyone listening. Beyond the obvious paycheck, what truly motivates you to bring your best self to work? And maybe, what hidden incentives are shaping your work life right now, perhaps without you even fully realizing it?
That's a great question to ponder.
All right, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for unpacking all that with us.
My pleasure. Always interesting stuff.
See you later.
Bye-bye.